Well, as we get into the 10 o'clock hour, thanks so much for joining me tonight. We're going to get to our next guest, and I'm very excited about talking with him because he's got a great resume, and he's still a very, very young coach, and this is a guy you're going to be hearing about in the coming years. He's doing some dynamite stuff out at San Diego State as their secondary coach and their recruiting coordinator. He played 4 years at UCLA. He was the captain his senior year there with the Bruins, spent time with Rocky Long over at New Mexico, and also played a number of years in the Canadian Football League. But he right now is doing a great job coaching that secondary out at San Diego State and bringing in a lot of key recruits. And we're joined right now by Aztec assistant football coach on the Western Exterminator Hotline, Tony White. And Tony, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing well. I don't know how you live up to that introduction, but I appreciate all the kind words, and I'm just happy to be here.
Well, I remember when you were playing at UCLA, a hard-hitting linebacker and a guy that, had some good days, some tough losses up there, but also played on some pretty good football teams at UCLA.
Oh, yeah. That's a common theme among good football teams. They play hard, good players. Fortunately, I wasn't one of them. I just kind of got in the way and let the other guys do what they do, but just try not to mess it up. Same philosophy in coaching.
Yeah, well, they don't let you be team captain your senior year unless you're a great leader on the field. And, looking at your resume, Tony, it's kind of interesting. You've been kind of on the fast track as a college football coach. You had 1 year. You coached at St. Genevieve High in 2006. Next year, you're back at UCLA as a grad assistant working in football ops. And 2008, you're down there as the assistant coach, coaching linebackers with Rocky Long. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Yes, sir. I always felt that I was blessed either way, athletically and knowing that I want to be a coach from very early on. And fortunate enough, I was able and lucky to get an opportunity to play in the Canadian Football League or whatnot. But there came a time as all athletes come across that you got to make a decision, and I made a decision to go back into coaching. And it's really crazy. I got to count my blessings because things don't usually happen that fast, especially in this business. But I was fortunate enough to make a decision, stick with it, and be surrounded by good people and have right timing, good timing, and it just kind of went from there.
Well, Rocky Long, of course, was the defensive coordinator there with Bob Toledo, and you played for him. And Rocky is one of those guys, when he got the job, a lot of people were saying, well, why did they give Rocky Long the job? Why didn't they go get this guy or that guy? And, in all the years that I did the Aztecs, when we had him on our radio station, I was doing the color, I would always interview the visiting coach for the pregame show. And every time I would get off from interviewing Rocky Long, I'd always be kind of fired up because he's a football coach, and that's all he ever wants to be is a football coach. He's not very good at self-promoting. He's very honest, which a lot of head coaches nowadays, I think that it's not that they lie to you, but they just don't necessarily tell you the truth all the time. And Rocky Long just wants to be a flat-out football coach.
You hit it right on the head. I mean, from the very first time he sat in my living room when I was a senior in high school to this day, he's always been the same consistent guy. And I think you put it the right way when you say he's a football coach. I mean, he's a head coach that's a football coach. And nowadays you get the business side with obviously the TV and all that stuff is kind of taken over and stuff. But it's kind of refreshing to be able to recruit, be able to coach under a guy who wants to tell it like it is and wants to be straight up and upfront, in a world where stuff is getting really fluffy and really a whole lot of smoke and mirrors.
We're visiting with Tony White, secondary coach, recruiting coordinator at San Diego State, our guest on the Western Exterminator Hotline on San Diego Sports Leader XX 1090. I want to get into bowl preparation and recruiting here in a minute, but I want to ask you about your experience playing up in the Canadian Football League. You're up there, I believe, for 4 years. You played on 3 different teams. What was it like making that adjustment to an extra guy on the field and a longer and wider field?
The longer and wider field actually puts guys in better shape. The roster size obviously has something to do with that. There's not that many guys, so you have to play more special teams or whatnot. But being up there, you have to be in much better shape than down south down here because you got to do a lot more running. So that's the first thing. I mean, I was playing at UCLA at 245, 250. And when I got up there, I had to be about 230 just because, you got so much more running. But you know what? Football is football. There's the locker room is the thing that you miss the most as a player because a whole lot of personalities from all over the country. And it was refreshing to go up there and see and experience that. I can remember the first time going to McDonald's and seeing a menu in French, and I was like, well, I'm in the wrong place. But, it grew on me, and I was just lucky to get a chance to experience that and be around some really good people again. And hopefully I can help out the guys that, have aspirations to play college football, get a degree, and keep on playing like I did.
Hey, Tony, let's talk a little bit about the bowl preparation. You guys won your final game of the year in Wyoming. You get the bid to the Poinsettia Bowl, and I think everybody's excited about that, going against BYU, a longtime rival. How have you guys handled the preparation? Did you give the kids some time off? You've been practicing every other day. How's it been working, and how will it work, going forward the remainder of this week and up until the bowl game on the 20th?
It's kind of been an unorthodox schedule just because of, recruiting season starting and now that the finals are kicking in, Coach Long is very aware of all that, and he's trying to put the young men in a great situation where we can still go out and practice hard and make sure that we're prepared to play a very good BYU team, but at the same time, make sure that the young men have enough time and enough rest to do well on their finals and, go get their extra study hours in and all that kind of stuff. So that way it's not going to be a problem come the bowl.
Now, as far as recruiting season, again, the players can't sign until the first week in February. You continue to recruit players. I know you've got several verbal commitments. You got a lot of verbal commitments early on. How many scholarships do you able to give this year?
It varies just based on you. I mean, you never know the exact number just because you have no idea, how many guys come back, academics, injuries, all that stuff. But somewhere around, you look at the senior class. I mean, our senior class is about 15 guys, so that's the number you start with, and you kind of tweak it from there.
Now, when Tony White goes into a home and is sitting down with mom and dad and the prospective football player, I would imagine the first thing you want to do is, if you've never met him, you want to sit down and kind of get an idea who's making the decision in this family. And I would imagine a high percentage of the time, mom has a fairly significant say.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you'd be surprised. I mean, from grandma to mom to uncle to brother to best friend. I mean, just recruiting in general is getting crazy to the point where there's so many people in these young men's ears, these prospects' ears, and it's just you. I mean, the relationship you build with them, and you pretty much get a sense of where to go from there.
Now we're visiting with Tony White, the assistant coach at San Diego State. He works with the secondary, and he's also a recruiting coordinator, which is a tremendously amount of time and knowing each and everything. So you actually coordinate with the rest of your staff what areas they have and what guys they need to go see, and they report back to you, correct?
They don't necessarily report back to me. It's just it's a collaborative effort. I'm fortunate enough to be with a great staff, a lot of experience on here, and they're professionals. They know how to do their job. They know how to recruit. I just try to keep all the numbers balanced and keep all the information logged for compliance and the little bit of the busy work. I try to do all that stuff so that way the coaches can be out on the road and just evaluating talent and watching games and, going into homes and making these relationships that will bring these prospects here.
Tony, I got to be honest. I was a recruiting coordinator for baseball a long time ago back at Texas Tech University when they were in the old Southwest Conference. And just in baseball, that's very time-consuming along with, working on the field. How are you able to budget your time, and what kind of hours are you putting in during the season, both working with the secondary, looking at tape, coaching your guys, making sure they're taking care of business in the classroom, and then organizing the recruiting efforts?
Oh, I'm just leaving the office right now. We had some stuff to do, and I mean, it does get time consuming, but that comes with the business. That comes with being in a privileged position when things are thrust upon you. You have to get it done, and a lot of people are riding on you. From our student athletes, being prepared. There's no better feeling that when your position guys go out there and they know they're ready, they feel good about playing because you put them in a situation and you giving them the skill set that they need to go out there and succeed and help their teammates win. I mean, that's really fulfilling as a coach. And then, obviously all the other stuff that comes along with it. I mean, but there's nothing else that I personally would rather be doing. I mean, I'm very lucky, very fortunate to be, again, working with great guys and a great university at a time where it's starting to get really, really exciting around here.
Hey, if Tony White is going into, let's say, a kid in South Orange County's home to sell the Aztecs, what are the first things you're going to say when you sit down with this prospect?
Well, that's funny because it always starts with the head coach and his message, because it would look really foolish if I went in there spouting off something and a message that was not consistent with the rest of the coaching staff or the head coach's vision. And I think it all starts there. And just like you said earlier, Coach Long is a straight up front football coach, and it's real easy to go into a prospect's home and deliver that message that we're not about a whole bunch of smoke and mirrors. We want to lay it out there. We want to tell the truth. We want these guys to know what they're getting into up front, because then there's no drastic change. When you're recruiting, a lot of times you go in and paint this one picture, and sometimes when the prospect comes, there's a whole different picture, and that's when problems occur, when you're selling them one thing and they get another. Whereas again with Coach Long, he's a straight up front guy, and he's going to tell it like it is, and it filters down from there. So it's pretty easy to go in there and lay it out for a prospect, and if he's on board with our message and our vision of what this program is going to be, then it's an easy sell.
Tony White, assistant coach, San Diego State football, our guest here on the Western Exterminator Hotline. Tony, I know that you were your hometown's El Paso, Texas. How far will the Aztecs branch out their recruiting effort, not only right now, but going forward, if indeed they end up for a number of years in the Big East? How is that going to change how you guys go about recruiting?
I mean, when you open up those avenues to going to places like Florida, going to places like New York, New Jersey, going to places Ohio, I mean, it definitely opens up doors. Now, we always want to take care of our home first, San Diego, and branch out from there. But I mean, if a young man is tough and he's the mold that we want as a football player, as a student athlete, and he fits that mold, I mean, it doesn't matter. Alaska, Hawaii, Australia, we're gonna find him. We're gonna try to find him and get him on board.
It's kind of funny. I remember when I was doing the Aztecs, and we were over in Albuquerque doing a game, and Rocky always had these road grading offensive linemen. And I used to always joke saying the assistant coaches at San Diego State back then, they should follow around Rocky Long's staff to wherever they go and get the guys they don't get. He's always found a way to bring in beefy offensive linemen that could really run block.
Oh, yeah. And, again, it all starts with the head man, and that's his vision. That's his goal of what this team is going to be. And for us, it starts up front. You got to have a offensive line and a defensive line that can man up and get guys out the way and play that power, tough running style attack that we want to do. And lo and behold, there's a reason why he's had success at New Mexico for as long as he did. And in the short time here, the success we've had now, again, it's not a coincidence. I mean, it's a vision, it's a message, and we're just lucky enough to have these young guys buy in and go from there.
Now, will you be able, by NCAA rules, since it's a bowl game, will you be allowed to have prospective recruits come down prior to the game and watch warm-ups? Can you bring them in for a visit that night?
No, just because the bowl game has nothing to do with us, so we don't do that.
Okay,
we're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, I didn't know I know during the regular season you're allowed to bring in recruits, but I didn't know what the rules were regarding bowl games. But hey, you know what? Before you go out on the field, you can call them and tell them you're hoping they're with you coming out of the tunnel next year.
Definitely. That's a good recruiting strategy.
Hey, last question. Leon McFadden's had a really nice career here at San Diego State. I know there's a lot of NFL interest. Give us your thoughts on his ability and where you think he's going to end up.
You know, I think the whole world's in front of him. I think if he continues to learn, and that's the thing that made Leon really good, was that he always stayed humble, and you know, there wasn't a time where he thought he knew too much. I mean, he's been a guy who's taken it one day at a time, and really has tried to improve himself day in and day out. And I think if he takes that same approach, without a doubt, he'll be successful as he wants to be. I mean, he's got all the attributes. He's tough, he's physical, he's athletic, he's smart, you know, all that kind of stuff. But the thing is, I think his humbleness and willing to work, I really do feel that he'll be successful as he wants to be.
Well, hey, tell Charles McDaniel, Coach Quintero said hello, and good luck, and we'll be in the stands cheering you on the 20th.
Oh, I appreciate all you do, Coach, and I just want to say thank you to all the fans this year, and everybody supports the Aztecs, not just the football team, but overall. I mean, it's been so far a great start to the year, and we hope to continue that with more championships and representing San Diego and San Diego State the best way we can.
Hey,
thanks.
Tony, thanks so much for the time. Happy holidays as well.
Thank you, too.
You're welcome. Tony White, assistant coach, San Diego State, secondary coach and recruiting coordinator. And again, I mentioned it at the top of the show, for Poinsettia Bowl tickets, the general tickets are going for $60 each right now. Tailgate package, $40 includes buffet and drinks. Another $20 will get you a food voucher. Go to Aztecs.com. Go Aztecs.com. Go Aztecs.com. And you can purchase these tickets. And, again, it's really good if you go through GoAztecs.com, because in the future, when San Diego State's up for a bowl game, they're going to look to see how many tickets were sold. I know UCLA for the Holiday Bowl, I think they're almost out of their 11,000, and they'll probably end up buying some of Baylor's. So there'll be a lot of Bruin fans at the Holiday Bowl. But it's very important for Aztec fans to go to the website, GoAztecs.com, purchase the Holiday Bowl, or the Poinsettia Bowl tickets, because in the future, not only do the Aztecs garner revenue from this, but also in the future, Bulls are going to look to see how they sold their allotment of tickets, and it may come down to the Aztecs or another program to go to a bigger bowl game in the future. So you want to have a good little bowl history as far as selling tickets.